Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. This is where accounting professionals just like you come to learn the most efficient and powerful ways to grow their firm, sharpen their sales skills, and have consistent increasing revenue. We cover topics from sales, networking, handling objections, negotiation, pricing, finding those ideal clients, and how to get rid of the ones that just don't suit you and how to set those boundaries so you can stop giving away your time, working for free, putting yourself on sale, and really start to get paid for the value and the worth that you bring to your clients. You'll learn tips, strategies, as well as hear others from personal interviews from successful accounting professionals. This podcast will show you exactly how to create the firm and life of your dreams full of abundance. Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Our special guest started his career in 1984 with KPMG's Private Business Advisory in San Francisco. And today he is the founder of VeraSage Institute, which is leading the think tank dedicated to educating professionals internationally. And he also is the host of a radio talk show on voiceamerica.com. And the show is called The Soul of Enterprise, Business in the Knowledge Economy. Our special guest has been authored 7 best-selling books, including The Firm of the Future, Pricing on Purpose, Measure What Matters to Customers, and many more. And he also has a new book that you're going to hear about in just a moment. But before we welcome our special guest, I know that everyone is telling you the best way to increase your revenue is just to simply work harder, maybe discount fees and get as many clients as possible. But really that only works if you want to increase your firm revenue at a snail's pace and be totally overwhelmed and feel like you want to just close your business down and maybe go get a job and then feel burnt out and resent all the work you do for your clients. Here at the Abundant Accountant, we teach you newer, far simpler methods for accounting and tax professionals that allow them to charge premium fees, double their annual revenue, get paid first and upfront, and eliminate AR forever. So if you want to see how we're doing this, you can register for my free masterclass at theabundantaccountant.com/masterclass. One more time, come visit us at theabundantaccountant.com/masterclass. It's an investment of 20 minutes. That's it. Have a pen and paper to change the financial future of your firm forever. And now let's welcome our special guest, Ron, to the show. Welcome, Ron, to the show.
Oh, thanks, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's great to have you here on the Abundant Accountant Podcast. I know we've emailed back and forth for quite a while now, but I'm looking forward to our conversation today. But before we get started, could you share with everyone what it is that you do? And I know that you have a new book. You want to share that?
Well, since around 2000, when I sold the interest in my firm to my then partner, I founded a think tank called VeraSage Institute, and our mission is literally to kill the billable hour and the timesheet across all professions, not just my profession of accounting, but law and advertising, consulting, IT firms, any professional firm who bills by the hour. That's kind of been in our crosshairs to change their business model. By and large, we've been quite successful with that. And so now I believe the future of firms is going to be in subscription. And that's what my latest book is about, which is called Time's Up.
Awesome. And that's what we're going to be talking about today is the subscription-based business model for an accounting, tax, bookkeeping firm. How is that completely different than the norm? How does the one who is used to hourly able to make that change? And maybe you can share, some case studies with us today too. So I'm very excited to have you here today.
Yeah, sure, for sure. We can do all that. One of the nice things is, when we were teaching how to make the transition from hourly to value pricing, a lot of people got hung up on that. It took a long time. But I think now today you can move right from hourly to subscription. I think you can kind of leapfrog over value pricing, even though there's going to be some value pricing principles that are still going to apply, but you can learn those and you don't have to move to value pricing. You can move right to subscription. And what we're seeing, Michelle, is since people are so used to the subscription economy, because they subscribe to so many things, whether it's software in their business and various apps and, Hulu and Disney Plus, and everybody's an Amazon Prime member.
Yeah.
We know the convenience and the peace of mind and the simplicity of this business model. And we really kind of like it because it's very convenient. I mean, I think today everything is being compared to Amazon, Prime. One click, it's ordered and it shows up on your doorstep, sometimes in some cities the same day.
I know, it's awesome.
Yeah. And by the way, I think that's who we're being compared with. So your digital online experience is not being compared to other accounting firms. It's being compared to Amazon. And I think our profession needs to up its game.
Yeah. So if you think about it from a firm owner who, has been either charging hourly or they just do compliance work and they're charging really low fees, then even the thought to go to value pricing was completely terrifying and scary and overwhelming, to say the least. What are the first steps to making a transition into this different model entirely and going to a subscription-based business model for an accounting, tax, or bookkeeping firm? Like, what are some of the steps that one would need to take? Because ultimately, and I know we were sharing this in email, if someone is trying to sell their firm in the future, it does make it more valuable.
Right.
It makes it more sticky.
Right. It makes it much more valuable, actually. We're seeing multiples of 5 to 15 of gross revenue as opposed to 1 times gross revenue.
Wow.
For professional firms. So yeah, that needs to be factored into the calculus. I think the first thing people have to realize is that this is a business model change. We're not just talking about a pricing change. The pricing is always driven by the business model, but the business model is the senior partner. And a lot of firms will tell us, oh yeah, we do subscription. Our customers pay us monthly. We take their annual price and divide it by 12 for the bookkeeping and the tax or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not subscription. That's a financial arrangement. That's a payment term. Subscription requires us to plus our offering, meaning to go to the market with an offering that is uncommon. Because if you go to the market with a common offering, if you do what everybody else is out there doing, which is CAS and tax services, then you're going to command a common price. But if you want to command an uncommon price, you've got to go to the market with an uncommon offering. So the subscription businesses that you see have, they have plussed their offering. I mean, Disney gives us everything, right, in their catalog pretty much, and they constantly come out with new things. I can subscribe to a Porsche today, and people say, "Well, how's that different from leasing it or buying it?" Because it's not a car. It's a fleet of vehicles I subscribe to. I have access to 7 Porsches, and I can trade out as much as I want. I could call them up today and say, hey, I want an SUV. I got guests coming. They want to go wine tasting. They will white glove away. They will white glove me out an SUV, and they will white glove away my convertible. And so they've plussed the offering. It's no longer about the transaction. It's no longer about the service. It's about the relationship. I now have a one-to-one relationship with Porsche, and that's different than just buying a car or being involved in a transaction. So moving from transactional to relational is what the subscription model is all about. Mm-hmm. And that requires a different business model, and it requires a different mindset in terms of the profit formula that you're looking at. Because with subscription, now what you're doing is you're building lifetime customer value. So that becomes the guiding metric. And you are no longer looking at the math of the moment. You're not worried about how much are we making on this job? How much are we making on this hour? How much are we making on this customer? Mm-hmm. You're computing customer lifetime value. So to boil it down, the subscription model is basically you're building lifetime annuities that are worth far greater than the cost to acquire them. And that's the new profit formula. It's also got a different revenue model, which we can talk about too, if you'd like.
Yeah, but I think I think it would be really cool today if we could give some tangible examples of what one would maybe need to start thinking about. So if you're doing a plus offering, and I love your, Porsche subscription where you get access to 7 cars and they're bringing whatever car you want when you ask and they swap them out. What would a firm owner do in their firm to increase the value, the plus offering, where it's not the common offering, where they can charge an uncommon price, as you said, which I really like, and be able to move into the subscription model? What are some of those services that you've seen really work well and creating the uniqueness of creating that one-to-one relationship for the firm owner and their clients? Because they probably already think they have a really good relationship with their clients, but this is on a next level. So what would be some tangible examples that firm owner listening right now, be it if they do bookkeeping, if they do accounting, if they do tax planning, tax resolution, doesn't matter what offering or services they provide, or they might just do all of them and they have CFO services and profit first. What are some ways to bundle this and increase the plus offering, as you call it?
Right. Well, the first thing that you have to realize with subscription is we're moving away from services. It's not about stacking up services brick by brick by brick, because that's not what the customer's buying. Services are simply a means to the end. I believe there's a new end that customers are buying in subscription, which is a transformation. Yep. If you think about humans and you think about why they consult all different types of professionals, including doctors and lawyers and accountants and CPAs and all of that, is because they're trying to be healthy, wealthier, and wise. Now, doctors keep us healthy, and we can keep our customers wise and wealthy. And really what we're doing for our customers at the highest value point is not services, it's guiding transformations. It's helping the customer move from where they are to some desired future state. So, for example, we can help them grow their business to make it more valuable. We can help them retire sooner. We can help plan their kid to get into college, at least financially, maybe not educationally. We can help plan their legacy or leave their legacy if you do estate and tax planning. Michelle, those are all transformations, because what you're doing there is you're guiding the customer from where they are to some desired future state, and you're touching their lives, you're touching their souls. It's not about the services to get them there. It's about guiding them.
It's about the outcome.
It's about the outcome. That's right. Exactly right. And I'm choosing to use the term transformation as opposed to outcome, because I think it's a more powerful term, because when you transform somebody, you change them forever. It's like the historian Heraclitus said, you can't step in the same river twice, because not only is the river changed, but you've changed. Right? Yep. So think about the transformations that we have in our lives, and think about the things that we do to commemorate them. Wedding anniversaries and wedding rings and ribbons from the military service and your diploma on the wall and your CPA certificate on the wall. These make us different people. We as professionals have the power to transform our customers. And that is the apogee of value. Porsche can help me through my midlife crisis, and they can make my neighbors envious, but they're not transforming me, because Porsche, unfortunately, is tied to a physical object. Yep. We're not. We work with our minds. We're knowledge workers. We can guide our customers through many transformations. And I think we need to stop thinking about selling services. It's not about the services. Those are a means to an end. Even my landscaper is providing me a transformation, because they're taking my yard and converting it over time to best curbside appeal. That's a transformation. And it's certainly going to show the impact when I sell the property. So I think we need to talk and communicate and message about transformations. Now, I'll give you a very tangible example, because this is my North Star for how I think CPA firms, accounting firms can do this. It's already been done in another profession. And we've got 24 years or 26 years actually, of experience with this model. I mean, it's been empirically proven. we're actually laggards in this. And it's the concierge medicine model and their baby cousins, the direct primary care doctors. So these are general physicians that you subscribe to as a patient. Now, a concierge doctor, probably going to pay a couple grand a month. They go after the top 10% of income earners and, wealth holders in the country, people with more money than time, basically. So like CEOs and things like that. But the direct primary care doctors serve a much lower price point. They go after the middle class, the lower middle class. They can be as cheap as $50 a month. They can be high as $250 a month. But basically, when you subscribe to them, their medical practice, you're covered for anything you need that they do. Now, there's the constraint, right? You're not going to go to a general physician for heart surgery. You're not going to get your knee replaced. You're not going to get cancer treatments. They're going to help you find
basic.
They're going to give you basic medical, but that's usually 80% of what we need. And you have total access to them 24/7, 365. They text you, they email you. You have access to your medical records. They'll come to your home. They'll come to your office. How can they do this? The average doctor in the United States has a panel of patients of about 2,400. Direct primary care doctors limit themselves between 500 and 600. So they've cut the number of patients by a huge amount because they always want to have capacity for all of their customers to really take care of them and to do what they joined the profession to do, which is help people. And when I ask accountants, why did you pick this profession? You get all sorts of interesting answers, but the predominant one is to help people. Well,
always.
You can't help people if you have 1,000 customers. I'm sorry, you're kidding yourself. Relationships do not scale. You have to have capacity. You have to be able to spend time with people, have conversations with them about their future plans. It's not just about solving problems. It's about advancing the customer. Because if all we're doing for the customer is solving their problems, we're just reverting them back to the status quo. We're not advancing them. I think we have the capability to advance them and transform them. And there is no higher point in the value curve than that.
Yeah. And so, this is all spot on. And I love the comparison to the concierge medicine doctor model. I think that's a good comparison to think about, if you're a firm owner and you're like, yeah, this is exactly what I need to do. And then they're thinking, Ron, well, how do I do that? I am that person. I have 1,000 1040 clients. I only have maybe 100 business clients. How do I make this transition? Like, what do they do with the compliance work? Because that doesn't really fit this model. There's not much added, you can't make a 1040 best curbside appeal per se. What would you recommend for that firm owner who might be listening and not have those business clients where they can focus on transformation and outcome?
Right. And I think if you're in a large compliance firm, like 1,000 tax returns, with or without the bookkeeping customers, you can still do subscription, because what you can offer besides just transformations is you can offer convenience, and you can offer peace of mind, and you can surface simplicity. So you're not sending them out 200-page tax organizers. Give me a break. That's just customer abuse. To send out these tax organizers that, if the customer knew how to fill that out, they wouldn't need to hire us. So I don't know why we continue to do this. But also peace of mind. So basically, as a tax practitioner, you're telling your customers, look, anything you need that we're capable of doing, you're covered. So if you need a 1031 exchange, if you get audited, if states are, auditing you, you're going to be covered. Now, that's going to, of course, be reflected in your price.
Right.
But because you're telling the customer, listen, anything that we're capable of doing, you're going to be covered by us. And that it becomes an all-inclusive package, then I believe the customers will feel peace of mind. They'll know they'll know it's convenient, just like Amazon, One Click, and Prime, and they'll pay a premium for that. Because in today's world, I think the biggest sin firms commit is we waste our customers' time. And if all you're doing is counting the services and scoping out the services, and then every time the customer needs something that isn't in scope, then they have to go to the Department of Paperwork and get a change order and get an extra bill. That blows up in subscription. It's all inclusive. You want to make it simple. You want to make it convenient. You want to give them peace of mind. And yes, I believe you can get a premium for that, even if you're not so much focused on the transformations, although I do believe there are things a compliance shop can do to transform customers.
Like what? Well, what?
For one thing, tax projection to keep them wealthy, to save as much as they legally can on their taxes, to maybe set up retirement accounts and help them retire sooner, help them get their kids into college, estate planning if you do that. I mean, these are all things that transform our customers' lives that we have a big impact upon.
Yeah, no, those are great ideas. And again, that brings you to the outcome, because those are more transformational in someone's life. It's not just, hey, fill out this 50-page organizer and get it back to me by a certain day, and we'll let you know. But it's planning slightly for the future for someone, even if they just have a W-2 per se.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not about the services. We get so wrapped around the axle about the services. And just like the DPC doctors and the concierge doctors have figured out, it's not about the services. It's about what you need. Convenience. On demand.
Yeah. If there's an emergency, your priority.
Absolutely.
You're
when
the
your
first
kid,
in line.
Exactly. When your kid is screaming in the middle of the night and you text your doctor and you get a response within a minute or two saying, don't worry about this, do this, this, and this, and you stay out of the ER because of that, that doctor's worth his weight in gold.
Yeah.
And we need to do the same thing, but we can't do that if we have 1,000 customers.
Yeah, it's just not possible. And it's, if you have 1,000 customers, it's a transactional firm. There's no relationship that really of value could be even built at that point.
That's right. There's no annual recurring revenue.
Yep.
One of the amazing things about subscription, and we know this because of all the empirical evidence that's out there on this, if you have a customer subscribe to your firm and you keep them for 12 months, you have a 90% or higher probability of keeping them for life. And that's why when you go to sell that firm, it's going to be worth a heck of a lot more than just one time's gross revenue. It could be anywhere from 3 to 15 we've seen. So that has got to be factored into the calculus as well. Because if you think about annual...
That's a high sticky factor. I mean, 10% attrition is very low.
Right. There's a difference between recurring revenue and reoccurring revenue. Now, a lot of accounting firms will say, well, we have recurring revenue. But what they really mean is they have reoccurring revenue. Because reoccurring, yes, it comes every year. Like just we have a tax return every year and got to do the books every year. We know all that. But reoccurring revenue still has a lot of one and dones in there. And it's kind of like a rash. You never know if it's coming back. It's just not as predictable, right? So if you have recurring revenue, well, then they've signed a subscription agreement. Now, it's cancelable at any point in time. This is another thing that freaks people out about the subscription model. But the customer, you've got to make it easy for them to cancel. I mean, every touch point with the customer, they have a cancel button, and they can cancel. And counterintuitively, when you do that, they're less likely to cancel. And because now they're focused on the convenience and the simplicity, and they want you in their lives, just like you want that DPC doctor in your life. Not because you're going to go see him every day, because when you need him, he's there. Just real quick, I had I had to get new glass prescription, and my old one that expired. Mm-hmm. And I called my eye surgeon in October, the first week of October. I call my eye surgeon's office. He can't see me until the end of January.
I know, it's crazy.
Now, you tell me how much time he wasted for me. I had to go find another doctor, go over here for this, go over here for that, get the glasses here, blah, blah, blah. I mean, and when I saw him at the end of January, because I love the guy, but I said, Doc, listen, man,
it's gonna work.
I'm not happy. You wasted a bunch of my time. why don't you offer a subscription plan that will put me to the front of the line? I will pay for that.
Yeah, that happened to me at the Apple store recently.
Beautiful. It's a great example.
They don't have at the Genius Bar a subscription model that gets you the front of the line, or like, Clear at the airport.
Right. Like, I guess Apple Care, it doesn't get you in the front of the line when you call, but maybe not at the Genius Bar, huh?
No, not at the Genius Bar. And I had to leave my laptop for 5 days just to change out a battery. There's no one else that can do it. And they don't want to, make it harder for someone that might not have the money to pay a premium to get into the front of the line.
Right. We've been asking for 5 years, when are we going to be able to subscribe to Apple?
I know, right?
Across the board. And look, they could do it. They could have a road warrior package. Yeah. They could have a home office package. They could have a family package where you just get a new laptop every 3 years. You get a new iPad every year, a new iPhone every year. It's not about, they're so hung up on selling SKUs. It's not about selling the services. They're about
reoccurring revenue, not recurring.
That's right. They need to build customer loyalty. And I mean, they've already got fanatical customer loyalty, but just lock that in and expand it. And I think it would be wonderful for them. There's rumors that they're going to move to a subscription even for their hardware, but we'll see.
I'll sign up in a heartbeat.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, this is awesome, Ron. What else off the top of your head? I mean, I know there's so much that we could talk about, but I think you're giving some really great ideas to implement and make these changes, because this is a business model change, as you said. But what's the next step in this process? And I'm sure it's in your latest book, Time's Up, which you should all purchase, and they can get it where? On Amazon?
On Amazon, yep.
Yeah. Just go to Amazon, make sure to leave them a great review after you read it. But, going from this different model entirely in their business to this subscription model, and thinking about recurring revenue versus reoccurring revenue, which is a great distinction. What would be the next thing that they would need to really make a shift, not only in the mindset and how they think about it, but in action steps? I'm all about taking action. This is the Abundant Accountant podcast, and always about increasing revenue and, profitability and ways to increase also, the client relationship, because that is everything when it comes to increasing revenue. So if you have a story, even if it's Porsche or what you've heard that Apple might be doing, but what would be that next step for the firm owner for this year to make this shift in their business model that they would need to do?
Well, I would say this, and we have a lot of experience, as we saw firms move from hourly billing to value pricing, and that's also a business model change. It's a completely different business model. And one of the things that almost always happened with almost every firm that did that is they reevaluated their strategy and their positioning. And the way I explain this is, look, you can be Morton's, you can be McDonald's, or you can be a vegan restaurant. But if you try and be all three, you'll be terrible at every one of them. And you've got to pick and choose what you want to be. Who's your ideal customer? That could be broken down by industry, specialization. It could be broken down by demographic. You could say we specialize in gig workers, Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, people who sell on eBay and Etsy, things like that. But you got to focus. You can't be all things to all people. You just can't, not in today's world. And what we find is small firms up to large firms, they're in way too many different industries. They have different tech stacks for different industries. They have to keep up on all this stuff in different industries. You can't do it all. You simply can't be an expert. This is why medical people specialize back in the 40s, right? Because you go to an oncologist for cancer, you go to a cardiac surgeon for surgery on your heart, and it's all specialized. And I think we need to do that. And this model will force you to do that, because this is a relationship-based model. This model puts the customer at the center of the firm. Nothing else matters but that relationship, which means you have to have spare capacity at all times to nurture that relationship, to be there when your customer calls you at 2 a.m. on Saturday. um, and just and be able to handle things that need a quick turnaround, things like that. And so that's the first thing, is you've got to position your firm to where its strengths are. And one of the best ways to do that is to ask yourself this about every line of business that you're in, whether that's tax, bookkeeping, or different industries. Ask yourself this: if you weren't already in a particular business, would you enter it today? So let's say you have a dozen restaurants and you know what it's like to work with restaurants. Would you enter that today, or would you like to get out of there? So what are you going to do about it is the next
question. Run the other way.
Right. Whatever it is. But I mean, I hate to say that riches are in the niches, but I'll tell you, Michelle,
they are.
The empirical evidence is overwhelming. I can tell you, and I've been at this since 1984 when I joined the profession, the most profitable firms in the world, and I mean, we're talking buying away like 7-figure profit firms, they all have one thing in common around the world and across all professions. They're specialized.
They are. And it's not any different than the concierge medical doctor model. They're specialized.
They're specialized.
Have a niche clientele, the top 5-10% earners.
That's it.
My guess is the age group is between 40 or 50 to 60, 70, 80 years old. And they niched really far down, because in order, I think, to have a successful subscription firm model, the more niche you are, the more specialized you are, and the more value add you can bring in transformational results, because you start to learn all the ins and outs. You become the most knowledgeable person if it's for construction workers or, like you said, the Uber drivers. You will learn exactly how to service them to get to their outcome quicker, faster than anybody else.
Absolutely. I have a friend that does nothing but dentists, and he can handle a dentist from womb to tomb, literally. Once they emerge from dental school, he can help them set up a practice, buy into a practice, whatever it is. He's seen it a million times. Now, people say, well, that sounds really boring. And I came into public accounting because I wanted to work with different industries and different businesses. And that's wonderful for your intellectual curiosity. In fact, I did the same thing, but it's kind of crappy as a business model because it's too diffuse. There's a complexity tax that you pay for that. And it comes right off your bottom line. So that would be the first thing I would want firms to consider, is their strategy and their positioning, because I believe firms are defined by the customers they don't have and the services they don't offer. So strategy is all about not what you're going to do, it's really about what you're not going to do, and narrow that focus. And then the second area I would work on is, okay, how are we going to pivot from where we are to subscription, whether you're hourly billing or maybe value pricing or even fixed pricing, whatever. And I'm going to say something that's probably going to scare some people, but here's the best evidence that we have that's out there from firms that have made this pivot. Start a new entity and build it from the ground up based on subscription, plus the offering. Provide that convenience, provide that simplicity and that peace of mind. Up your price by a factor of 2 or 4 times, and just put it in a different business. Start a new business, new brand name maybe, and that's your highest probability of success. Because with subscription, like with any business model change, your KPIs are going to be totally different. Yeah. Your income statement looks different. I don't know if you've ever seen a subscription business model income statement, but it basically starts with beginning ARR and ends with ending ARR. So when people tell me, "Oh, we do subscription," I have an acid test for firms that tell me that they do subscription. I say, "Do your customers know they subscribe? Do your customers know they can cancel at any time, just like I do with Prime and Hulu and Netflix and Disney Plus?" And second, what's your most recent financial statements ending ARR balance?
Yeah.
And what's your customer
0
lifetime value? So if people can answer those questions, then yes, they're doing subscription. And I'm telling you, the mindset is so different that you have a higher probability of success if you spin out a new entity.
Okay. I'm sure that sounds overwhelming for everybody that's listening, Ron, but I think it's a good clean slate for your new business model, which makes sense. And if you're looking to sell your firm in the future, this is probably the cleanest way to do it. So thank you again, Ron, for sharing and being here. Is there anything else that you think, and I know you probably have so much to share, but that you're just, biting your tongue that you want to say about the subscription model, transformational, outcome-driven approach in making these changes this year for these firm owners? Is there anything else that you'd like to leave them with today?
Yeah, the reason I'm so passionate about this, just like the reason I'm so passionate about value pricing, was because we entered this profession to help people. I just want to get back to our roots. We need to help people, and we can have a profound impact, more so than any other business. Starbucks is starting these things called Starbucks Reserve. Howard Schultz described it as the Willy Wonka of coffee, right? It's these 4 or 5-story buildings that, every floor has got a different bar in it. And you could probably spend up to $40 on a cup of coffee at the top floor. It's got live music, all of that kind of stuff. But think about it. That's not a transformation. It's a cool experience, but it's not a transformation. We have the ability to transform our customers' lives. That's a sacred bond. That's a sacred relationship. I want to nurture that, and I want to have an impact, a deep, meaningful impact on the customers I serve. And that means I have to have fewer customers, but I can charge them a higher price because I'm doing more transformations for them. And I think that's what gets us back to our root, because after all, what it means to be a professional is we take responsibility for producing an outcome, not doing a series of tasks. And right now, whether you're in hourly billing or value pricing, your business model and its economics is pricing services. And I think we need to move away from that and start guiding transformations. And we will become a more valuable and a more impactful professional and profession.
Yep. And, making and helping people transform their life is priceless.
Absolutely.
So thank you again, Ron, so much for being here with us today on the Abundant Account podcast.
Thanks for having me,
gems.
Michelle.
For those of you listening, you might want to hit rewind and go re-listen to it and have your pen and paper out and take some copious notes, because this can really change your game. And make sure to go get his book, Time's Up, on Amazon, and leave a review, only if you like it. So thanks again, Ron. And it's been an honor to have you here. And I hope you have a beautiful day.
You too, Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for joining Ron and I for another amazing episode on the Abundant Accountant podcast. It's always an honor to be here, and always with special, amazing guests. And I really think the subscription model and thinking about how can you be the concierge tax doctor or accounting doctor or bookkeeping doctor for your clients. What are those services? I should use a different word. He said not services. What are some transformational outcomes that you could create for your ideal client? Not for everybody, but if you were to start a new entity, like he suggested, who would you want your patients to be? Who would you want to respond to within a 24-hour period? Who would you want to really serve and help at a level you've never done before, and be able to charge a premium recurring dollar amount every single month, and have the opportunity to maybe sell your firm in the future for a 5 to 15 multiple? That's what I think you should spend 5 to 15 minutes jotting down those ideas that came up for you from today's podcast. And for those of you that want to learn a far simpler method that firm owners are using to charge premium fees, double their revenue, get paid up front, have no AR, then make sure to head on over to my free masterclass at theabundantaccountant.com/masterclass. It's an investment of 20 minutes where you will want a pen and paper but it will change the financial future of your firm forever. So I hope to see some of you there. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next podcast.